This is also a very, very important part because these resources are the ones that are going to be able to take your multifamily portfolio from one level to the next. You really need to network with these people. You really need to be in with them, be their best friends, and understand that they're going to be your partners. They're not your employees, they're your partners. And these are your CPAs. CPAs, make sure if you guys are involved in real estate that you get the correct CPA that understands real estate investment. There's a bunch of CPAs, and I could tell you from experience, some of them have no clue that there's special deductions for real estate investments. So make sure that if you do invest, that you go look for that real estate CPA. The other one is your real estate broker. This one's another person that's going to be one of your best friends. If you get realtors that understand your core value, that they know what type of asset properties and locations you are looking for, they're going to bring you deals that are off market. They're going to bring you deals that they know exactly are going to fit your core value. You're not going to waste your day, your time. Underwriting a deal takes time. And if you're underwriting a deal that doesn't meet your core value, you're just wasting time. So a real estate broker is somebody that you really want to network with. You only use one real estate broker. I use a few, but those few really know exactly what we are looking for. When we are looking for it, they'll bring us deals like El Paso. Like I said, that's something that we would have never really looked at, El Paso. We don't even know El Paso. We've never had been there. But this broker knew our core value. They knew that we look for cash flow properties. They brought us this deal off market, and we were able to get a huge cash flow property that we would have never known about because we don't know El Paso, like I said. So we had a great relationship with this broker, and we were able to get this property. Debt provider. Debt provider is another one that's another person that's super important in your team. When you want to buy property, you need to be able to leverage yourself, properly leverage, but not over leverage. But when you start investing in multifamily, it's hard for a bank or a lender to say, I'm going to lend you to invest in an investment property, but you've never done it before. So you have to create relationships with debt providers, your local bank, your community banks, a mortgage broker that understands multifamily, and that once they create that relationship with you, they're able to fight to say, hey, this is a reliable person. They have great credit. I think that they're going to be able to do good. You have to talk. The broker and the underwriter talk a lot. So if you have a good rapport with a debt provider, it's going to be easier for you to be able to get debt on your properties. A closing attorney. This is an attorney that's going to only handle your PSA and your title work. This attorney is going to make sure that your contracts are in favor to you, not to the seller. Of course, the seller is going to have their attorney, and they're going to fight back and forth on who's going to have the bottom line on the contract. But you need to make sure that those contracts are not going to make sure that you don't sign something that later on is not going to benefit you. So you have to make sure that all your PSA wording is correct. And then your title. A lot of title companies make mistakes on your title work. We've had experiences where once we have closed, we have had issue with the title insurance. When you have relationship with these attorneys, you're going to get that fixed right away. But if you go to somebody that you've never worked with, they're going to throw you to the side, and they're not going to really care to fix anything until they don't want to. So make sure that, these are all great relationships that you have to keep networking with. An estate attorney. I know at the very beginning, it's not important to you, but as you start investing and you start creating a larger portfolio, you want to make sure that your properties are properly saved, protected, so that when you leave this generational wealth portfolio to your kids, to your grandkids, that it is put in an estate the proper way so that your kids or your grandkids don't have to pay this huge amount of taxes that it's more than 50% if you don't protect your investment property the right way. So, wait. The diligence. The diligence and inspections. These are extremely important. When you buy a property, you need to make sure that you're inspecting all the properties from head to toes when it comes down to the roof, the electrical systems, the plumbing. All of those issues are really big because you buy a property and you don't do due diligence and you close on it. The next day, if that roof is old and leaking, you have no claim. That's it. You passed your due diligence period. You didn't say that the roof was bad. They didn't claim that the roof was bad. At that point, it's your problem, nobody else's. Another thing is inspection, is the diligence company itself, that they do inspection, they do your lease. They make sure that all the leases that are in the property are correctly. That if you have any kind of contracts with vendors, because sometimes you buy a property like the washer machines and the dryers, most of the small properties don't have washers and dryers inside the units, and they have a company that comes in and they put the washer and dryers in a common area. That contract is the most horrible contract you could ever see. They hold a 30-year contract and you're not able to get off of it. It runs with the property. So even though that the seller sold you the property and you don't want that contract, you have no choice. And that contract is the most, every company, it's not just one, it's across the board, no matter what state they're in. These people have created a contract that is awful to get out of. So make sure you understand what kind of contracts the property has, even though the seller sold you the property, you're still responsible for those contracts. The other one is an insurance agent. This is one of the biggest expenses when you buy a multifamily property. It's one of your biggest expenses on the property. Insurance is super expensive and it gets more expensive year by year. I'm going to tell you an experience we just had. We just bought a property about 2 weeks ago, and we were doing underwriting. And when we were doing the underwriting, the insurance part was so large. What they wanted in order to cover these units was killing our cash flow. And we were at the point to say, you know what, we don't want the deal, because the insurance agent was telling us that there was no way that he could reduce the cost that the insurance company was providing him. It was that the property was in a location that it was just not favorable for the insurance company itself, and there was double what we had underwritten the deal. So we almost backed out of the deal because of the insurance. So that's how important insurance is, to really understand what you're getting. If the insurance agent is giving you proper insurance on the type of property you're buying, because every property is different. So you got to make sure that you're properly insured and not over-insured too sometimes. Your property management. At the very beginning, I advise everybody to do the property management themselves. This is the heartbeat of your investment portfolio. If you do not manage your property right, you could lose your property, because if you don't increase your rent when you have to increase, if you don't improve your properties the way you have to, or not improve them sometimes, depending on the area that you're in, you could lose a lot of income because of not doing the right things. Sometimes you have high vacancies and you're saying, why do I have high vacancies? Well, you're probably not giving concessions. Your area around you, all your competitors are giving concessions, or they're giving some type of special that you're not. So if you're not managing your property correctly, you could lose out on a lot of income. When you get too large, or you want to be a part-time investor and you don't want to be hands-on, then I definitely agree to go to a property management company and have them manage it for you. But you need to make sure that you're very involved with them, that you have meetings with them constantly. Because again, it's not their property. They're getting paid no matter what. So if you allow that property management to just do what they want to do, you can also be in trouble. So if you are going to have a property management, make sure that you're on the grounds a lot. Make sure that you have meetings with them. Get a monthly report from them. Have them be accountable for, a certain leases a week or a month, or make sure that your NOI has to be at a level. Give them goals where you want to be. GCs and vendors. These are people that are going to be alongside with you too. So sometimes you get a property and it needs to be completely renovated. You need to redo the outside, the interiors, the clubhouse, whatever it is. If you get a GC that comes into your property and they come in and they don't show up for 2 or 3 days and you're not on top of them, and you're losing income because those properties are vacant because that GC did not get those units done for you, you're losing cash flow. So now you thought that you were making a cap rate of 6%. Well, guess what? If that unit goes unrented for 4 or 5 weeks because that GC did not get that unit done for you on time, now you're not capping. Now you reduced your cap rate. So you have to make sure that when you have a GC, that you are managing them just like if they're an employees of yours. Vendors are the same thing. Vendors are your plumbers, your electricians, your pool guys, your landscapers. Those are other ones that you might not be losing money on the units because the unit, they have nothing to do with your units, but they do have something to do with your tenant. So if you have something broken and you're not able to fix that for your tenant immediately, you're going to lose that tenant. And now that tenant's not going to renew with you because your service of repairing things is not where they want to be. So you're going to lose that tenant. So high retention is one of the biggest things that you want when you have multifamily. And your vendors are the ones that are going to either make that or break it sometimes. So another step here is in my A team is software company. So in order for you to be able to get to your CPA or to your accountant, the right expenses, your profit and loss, to be able to be reported to them on a timely manner, and for them to give you the best deductions that they can, is going to be by you keeping records of it from A through Z. And the best way to do that is by having a software. At the very beginning, if you only have like a duplexes or, fourplex, get QuickBooks. QuickBooks is great for your CPA. You'll be able to still track your income, your expenses. All of those things are being able to be tracked, and your CPA will be able to use that software and be able to take advantage of all taxes for you. Later on, when you get bigger, there's a lot of softwares out there that you're able to use for multifamily, like Yardi, Rent Manager. There's a bunch. Marketing. Right now in today's day, we're all about digital. So when you have vacant units and you don't have a good traffic flow in front of your property, you got to make sure that you put your units in all the websites that you can. Apartment.com, Rent.com, Zillow, anything. You have to be put out there on all searches because all these other competitors of yours are going to be on there. So if you're not on there, you're going to be losing that traffic if you don't have that traffic coming in front of your property. Cost segregation firms. This is a firm that a lot of new investors have no clue what this is, and you lose a lot of tax benefit on this. This is an engineer company that comes in and does a complete study of the building from head to toe and is able to take anything that is able to be depreciated in your property. And instead of doing it in 27 years, they're able to do it in half the time. So you're able to take all those deductions within 5 to 15 years, more or less, you're able to use it. So sometimes you put a lot of money into your property, and that year you had a big income, you're able to take all those expenses that you put into that property and deduct it and reduce the amount of money that you need to pay for your taxes when your property is increasing and you've been putting a lot of money and receiving a lot of cash flow. So a cost segregation is done immediately. As soon as you close in your property, you're able to take full advantage of this. And a lot of investors do not even know this exists. including myself. I didn't know this existed until about 7 years ago. So I lost the very first few years that I started investing in multifamily. I didn't take advantage of this because I didn't know, and I had a CPA that had no clue or didn't even know to tell me to get this done. Another good firm to have in your team is a 1031 exchange firm. This is when when you buy a property and you want to upgrade or you want to sell it for whatever reason, instead of paying the capital gains on your on the sell, you go and you roll that money into another property without paying any taxes on your capital gains. So this is a great way to be able to scale when you want to and defer all that capital gains in taxes. Eviction attorney. This is another great friend you need to have in your team. When you need to do an eviction, I don't know, again, California, guys. I have no clue of California. I'm only talking about the states that I invest in. If you do not get an attorney to do your evictions, you're going to have a tenant living for free in your unit for a long time. It could go up to a year without getting that tenant out of your unit. So having an eviction attorney that understands the laws, the housing laws in your state is extremely important because you want to be able to get that tenant out as soon as you can, not to lose that income on that unit.